Hey friends, thanks for joining me again. And this is in response to a question about whether or not we have a paperless lifestyle or a paper-free lifestyle, and if we do, what do we do in order to achieve that? Well, I would like to say first of all, no, we do not have a completely paper-free lifestyle. We have reduced how much we use, however, and I have found some really good alternatives on ways that we are able to achieve it. So I do have some, tips and tricks on how to achieve that if that's something that you're looking for. Because it can really save money because you don't have to buy things over and over and over again. And of course it's better for the environment because we don't have to have stuff that, we're cutting down trees for all the time, etc., just to throw that stuff away and have it rot in a landfill. So the first thing I would like to talk about is cloth napkins. My brother gave us this set of cloth napkins from Guatemala when he went there on a trip one time, and I really like them. I'm not really a fan of the olive green color, but I have no problem with this whatsoever. And they work really well. They clean really well, and they work just like napkins, only without having to throw something away. So definitely I like those a lot. They're usually really inexpensive to buy, and yet they're really easy to take care of. The second thing would be handkerchiefs instead of Kleenex. Honestly, if you have had a cold before, I'm sure you know that when you have to wipe your nose all the time, your nose can get red and, irritated. Well, have you ever had a paper cut? It's kind of like the same thing because the tissue, while soft, still is made of paper and it can make little microscopic cuts on your skin. So when you switch to a handkerchief, the first thing you notice is that you don't get that irritation in your nose anymore. This has made a huge difference. The first time I used them, felt like I was being spoiled when I had my first cold with them because I just didn't have that same irritation. It was great. However, I couldn't really find some affordable ones online, and I wasn't able to find any locally, although if I probably searched hard enough, I could find some at, a thrift store or garage sale, but at the time it was winter, and so that stuff wasn't really going on. So what I did is I went to the Walmart in the craft section. I bought some really cheap fabric from the dollar a yard section. I bought a yard of that. I cut it into little squares, and then I sewed around the outside edges just to make sure that they don't fray or anything like that, and then there you go. I had my husband help pick out the type of fabric because I really wanted to make sure it was a pattern that he liked because he uses those a lot, and he used to carry around paper towels in his pockets, for these types of reasons, and so he picked it out. It feels kind of like the material you would use for like a button-up shirt or something like that. It's pretty soft. So yes, if you haven't tried handkerchiefs, I highly recommend it. The next thing would be cleaning rags. Of course, there are lots of different things that you could use to make cleaning rags. People will cut up old t-shirts, or they'll use washcloths, or, just extra pieces of fabric, etc. And these all work great, so I have no objections to any of them. I will say though, if you're going to switch to cleaning rags, I have a few tips on how to make sure that you're going to be successful with this transition. The first one is to make sure you stock plenty, because you will likely use more than you think you will. Secondly, have a spot for the dirty ones, because oftentimes people won't know where to put them, and then, if you just put them in your normal clothes or whatever, then they can kind of get lost or mixed in with other stuff. And so we actually have a hamper where we have just cleaning rags. And it's actually in our closet over here where we have a bunch of hangers hanging up on this bar above it. And some of them are the little clip style that you get like when you get a pair of pants from a store or something like that, or a skirt or something like that. They'll often come on a hanger with 2 clips on each side. So above the rag load, we actually have a bunch of those hangers, so we can actually clip and hang them up to dry. Because if you put them all in the hamper and then they sit there for a week or two, it's likely that they're going to mildew and not last very long, and then when they do get wet, they're going to smell bad. So to keep them from mildewing, just dry them out really good, and then you can unclip them and put them in your hamper, dry them all out at once. So having a nice system in place definitely will help ensure success with that. And again, another thing that we do is that we have different ones for different purposes. Like, I just don't feel comfortable stocking one type of rag and then using it to clean our dishes, and then the next time around it goes to clean our toilet, and then it goes back in the same rag load. And while it's washed in between, who knows what it could be used for next time. I just don't want to wash and dry my dishes with something that I've used to clean the toilet with. So we have separate types to where it's like, no, this type, these types, and this colors are only for the dishes. These other ones that are, kind of older or whatever, these other types or whatnot, are used for cleaning sinks and toilets and other things like that. So I would personally recommend, if you feel weird about it, or depending on what your different uses that you have for them are, stock different types, because it really makes a big difference there. So the other thing Another type of thing that people use as paper throwaways would be things like baby wipes or cosmetic wipes. Sometimes you'll use wet wipes and things like that for these types of things. Personally, we just use wet washcloths. And yes, speaking of babies, I did cloth diaper my babies when they were little. And I added up how much the diapers were going to cost back when they were still, in those diapers, and from birth until 2, and they're usually potty trained or whatnot. I estimate that I saved about $2,000 per child using cloth diapers instead. So yeah, if you want to replace, your diaper throwaways, cloth diapers work great. Honestly, I loved them, and I was a big fan. Next would be like feminine hygiene stuff, so you can use cloth pads or sponges or, cups and other things like that to replace other types of throwaway feminine hygiene products. Cloth shopping bags are really useful. They can replace either the paper bags or the plastic ones, and some places even give you a credit for using them, like Sprouts. Sprouts will actually give you 5 cents off of your total bill when you go through there and you use them per bag that you use. So that's nice, thanks Sprouts. So yeah, cloth shopping bags are really helpful to help reduce all of that stuff. Real plates, cups, and silverware, spoons, forks, knives, and things like that. So instead of having a lot of paper plates, you can use regular plates instead of, paper cups and stuff like that. A lot of stores will actually let you bring in your own reusable cup and fill it. So, you go into the gas station, you bring your own mug instead of having to buy their paper cup. And sometimes they'll even give you a discount for using your own cup. Or they charge you a flat fee, to where if you have a really big cup, they're not going to charge you the large price. It's like the refill price is this much, even if you use a really big cup. So you can actually get more of a thing, by using your own instead of using their throwaways. And if you're using styrofoam and replacing that with, a mug or whatnot, some sort of a reusable cup, that is actually really helpful to the environment. While you're not eliminating the paper, which is the main premise of this video, styrofoam is actually really bad for the environment, and it takes a really long time for it to biodegrade, so using, reusables is definitely very helpful for that. And then as far as silverware, even though those are usually typically made of plastic, I'll just throw it in with this also, but whenever we're using something like on a picnic or, for packed lunches and stuff, we will actually bring our own home, our set of silverware, and then we'll just make sure to bring them back and put them in the sink when we're done with them to get washed, so that we don't have to pack, plastic and then have more stuff to try and, throw away later, and then more stuff again to have to stock and buy. So yes, my husband, when he packs his lunch, really does stock our own, or bring our own, and then bring it back. So hopefully this answers your question on how we do a lifestyle without paper. Again, we do a few things with paper. A few things we haven't entirely eliminated would be toilet paper. We tried using a cloth toilet paper for a while, and my family wasn't a real big fan of it. If we buy a house with a septic system, I'm going to make them do it the next time. But yeah, that was useful. It was a fun experiment, and if we ever needed to, we could, but we're really not on that tight of a budget, so, it works fine with us having to just buy it, and we just use like a coupon or make sure we buy it on sale, that sort of thing, or in a bulk store, or even at our discount grocery store, we can buy it for fairly cheap that way. So that's a paper that we do still buy. And then we do keep a few paper towels around for really dirty messes. Like, I do have cats, and they will puke on the floor, and so I don't necessarily want to clean up, and then keep a rag that's going to go in my washer with that sort of thing. And so I will use a paper towel for that. But that's pretty much it. Everything else that we use that's a throwaway, we've pretty much eliminated and replaced with a replaceable instead, or a reusable instead. So again, hopefully this video was helpful to you. I'm Frugal Green Girl. Thanks for asking your questions, and we'll see you next time. This is one of the handkerchiefs that we have. So it's folded into quarters, so it's about 4 times this size, of course. And then this is the fabric. These work really good. I totally recommend them. These are the rags we have set aside just for dishes. We all know that these off-white, brown, and kind of red colored ones are only for dishes. And then these are just hand towels. We use that for nothing but hanging in the bathrooms for our hands. So this is more of the rags we have. We have some larger towels for if we spill like big messes, if like a whole gallon of water or something horrible happens where we spill a whole bunch. Those are what those are for. We have some other cleaning rags that are just kind of bigger than these other size. And then these ones are much worse than the tan towels, so we can pretty well tell the difference between them because they're all stained, they're raggy, they're old, and that sort of thing. And so we have those larger ones. And in this box we usually have the smaller ones but as you can see, they're almost out because it's all full and it's time to do the load. So right below that, we have the area where we clip them up as I described earlier, and so yeah, we just clip them up and then they dry out in here, and it's actually right above the hamper where the rags go, so that as soon as we unclip them they fall right in, and ideally we don't have to even touch them. It's pretty easy.